Welcome to the Heavy Spoilers Show. I'm your host Definition. In this episode we're breaking down the ending of Chilling Adventures of Sabrina Part 3. Throughout this video we'll be going over everything you need to know about the show and where things could be heading for Part 4. There will be heavy spoilers here, so if you don't want anything potentially ruined about the new season of The Witch, then I highly suggest that you turn off now. With that out of the way, I just want to give a huge thank you for clicking this video. Now let's get into our breakdown of Chilling Adventures of Sabrina Part 3. Okay, so part 2 had some pretty big revelations. Not only was it revealed that after Sabrina's father wasn't Edward Spellman, but it actually turned out that she was Satan's offspring, the forebearer of the apocalypse. The second entry closed with Sabrina faking a ceremony of submission in order to trap the Dark Lord, but after this backfired, Nick ended up sacrificing himself in order to contain him. It was the ultimate play, and Sabrina had to watch as her beloved boyfriend Nick was taken to hell under the watchful eye of Madame Satan. The season closed with a promise between Sabrina and her friends that they would travel to the underworld to get Nick back. This is where part 3 picks up, and the show doesn't waste any time getting to the rescue attempt. The opening of the series really revolves around the group doing whatever it takes to free him from his confinement, and some of the scenes will make your toes curl. Like literally, I hate foot stuff like that. There's lots of key events in the season, and it really engages you as you go along for the ride. Sabrina does whatever she can to gain entry to hell, the Fright Club band provides some awesome backing music, Madame Wardwell plays a big part after gaining control of her life, Prudence and Ambrose travel the globe in search of Father Blackwood, Zelda steps up as headmistress, and there are a couple of new characters introduced here and there that really shake up the season. Whether it's Zelda and Hilda deciding how to inform the quote-unquote students that they shouldn't be praying to Satan anymore, or Dorian Gray acting as a sort of M for the group, all of the actors get some dark and twisted things to play with. People who are already invested in the show will find a lot to love from the off, and this season is arguably the most occult entry thus far. It throws some awesome nods to The Wizard of Oz, The Divine Comedy, Vlad the Impaler, and within the first 15 minutes, the show sets up some big plot points that make it arguably the best in the run. For those who don't know, The Divine Comedy is a famous Italian poem that discusses the 9 circles of hell. It chronicles the journey of Dante through the underworld, and this is similar to the path that Sabrina and co travel on in the first episode. It really allows the creative team to switch up the environments, and whether it's the shores of sorrow, the fields of witness, or a giant path of blood, the series possesses one of the most memorable opening episodes in the show's history. Upon arriving at Pandemonium, they come across Madame Satan, who informs the group that in the wake of her ascension to the throne, she is finding it difficult to gain respect. No one views her as the real ruler of the realm, and in order to get Nick back, Sabrina must assume the title of the Queen of Hell and officially pass it back to Madame Satan. However, this is contested with the arrival of Prince Caliban. He wants to expand the circles of hell, and if he was to rule, he would pretty much mess everything up. For those who don't know, Caliban is actually a character from the Shakespearean play The Tempest, and the character was the son of a witch who has a lot of ambition. He's an extremely complex character, and this is mirrored by his portrayal in the show. He and Sabrina even come face to face with Pontius Pilate and reenact elements of the crucifixion scene from the Bible. Judas also plays a big part of the show, and it's very much laced with the story of Jesus, which is mirrored in Sabrina's position as the child of Satan. Left with little option, Sabrina takes up the position of the Queen in order to free Nick and defend it from the new apparent antagonist. She also has to deal with balancing her new role with her normal life, and seeing her having to condemn people to hell whilst trying to make it as a cheerleader reminds you that she never has it easy. She realises that she will have to transfer the soul of Satan into a new vessel, and this comes in the form of Father Blackwood. I loved watching Satan bounce back and forth inside the character throughout the season, and it adds to the theme of duality that the show possesses overall. There are also tones of identity, which are not only exemplified in Satan, but also in Sabrina's new role and Nick's lust for pain and pleasure. With Nick free, it allows him and Sabrina to rekindle their relationship, but their plans are put to a halt when a carnival comes to town. These guys reminded me a lot of the True Knot from Dr. Sleep, and watching their rituals was creepy as hell. They travel the land, make sacrifices, pray to the old gods, and yeah, not good people. These pagans date back millennia, before even the time of Satan, and also possess different abilities. I love the Medusa one, and overall there's just something very creepy about them. They wish to sacrifice a virgin, and luckily for them, the Fright Club is full of them. We're still PG-13 now. However, the show does actually have a subplot about the group losing their virginities so they can't be sacrificed, and yet I wasn't really expecting to see this in the show. Similar to most of the season, this group have a double side to them, a true face that is terrifying that allows the creative team and actors to go wild. They make for some awesome enemies, and whilst this season is plentiful when it comes to villains, it doesn't feel overstuffed. There's also a Riverdale Easter egg, however, some fans, including myself, may be a bit disappointed to learn that it's still not a crossover. Now, that doesn't mean that we won't be getting one eventually, as the location definitely exists in the Sabrina universe, but this tie-in with the new murder capital of the world may have to wait till part 4. That doesn't mean the series isn't packed with big moments that most people will love though, and Hilda gets engaged and starts turning into a spider. Harvey tries to get closer to Roz, his dad gets some action, and Nick gets caught with his pants down. I definitely feel like this season is a lot more mature than the prior entry, and was kinda surprised to see them diving into sex and BDSM as much as they did. This show definitely deserves its teen rating, and it gets more and more risque the longer it goes on. What it boils down to though, and what makes Nick and Sabrina fall apart, is that deep down he knows that she loves Harvey. Again, this idea of duality rises once more, with the heart and head being torn, and it cements that every character has two sides to them. What they present and what's actually going on. Harvey and Sabrina is a romance that we've all wanted from the start, and though we initially thought they were diverting for the show, it does start to line up with what we would expect. Nick tries to free Satan and takes a real dark turn, and we learn he's infested with a parasite from the Dark Lord's residue and thus has been acting a certain way. But it is too late, and he and Sabrina go on a break. The Harvey-Sabrina connection is given further weight when Roz is turned to stone and she can only be freed with love's true kiss. This fails, and it cements that Harvey's heart does not belong to Roz. Roz later picks up on this, and yeah, I think they are teasing Sabrina and Harvey hooking up down the line. Sabrina admits to herself that she does love him but doesn't want to hurt Roz, and yet the love triangle gets a lot more complicated. They manage to stave off the Pagans and get Roz back, but there are casualties. Due to Hilda being out the game, Zelda is running things on her own, and she's shot by Wardwell, sent to Purgatory, and then murdered by Blackwood. It was a big moment in the season, however, it does quickly get undone, and my big ding on the series would be that it doesn't really feel like it has stakes because of this. A lot of things are reversed, and yeah, throughout it just kind of retrospectively robbed these moments of their weight. A banshee comes and looks over the property, and this signals a death, and it also comes in the form of Prudence and the rest of the weird sisters, who are killed one by one. Prudence is murdered by Father Blackwood, and this continues his killing spree. For the finale, they throw several curveballs, and it sends the series down a quote-unquote dark timeline that I'll get into in just a bit, but there are a lot of things that change up the dynamics of the show. Madame Satan also reveals that she's pregnant with a son, and this could usher in a new era for the Dark Lords. Caliban tricks Sabrina and she's entombed, and Harvey is captured by the Pagans who transform him. Pretty much everyone is killed, Caliban becomes the ruler of Earth, and then we get a huge time jump that chronicles his invasion of Earth in an attempt to turn it into the 10th circle of hell. The Pagans manage to push him back, and Sabrina frees herself from death through the use of a paradox. To break it down simply, there is a time loop in which future Sabrina must come back and free her past self. It's a bit confusing, as there would have to be one version of Sabrina to start the loop, but maybe she was freed far in the future and time travelled back in order to start this, and yeah, we just aren't privy to it. I don't think they know themselves what's going on. Sabrina sees that the world is completely destroyed, and I just want to shout out the Last of Us inspiration. I see you, I hear you, I crap my pants. The post-apocalypse is a bad place, but with help from Ambrose, Sabrina is able to travel back to episode 7 and stop Blackwood from his killing spree. Sabrina, disguised as Robin, who is a trusted member of the Pagans, tricks them into sacrificing one of their own. The Academy take down the group, and Sabrina goes to return to Hell, but a future version stops her and breaks the time loop, trapping Caliban down there. This means that there are two versions of the character existing at the same time. One version of Sabrina accepts a role as Queen of Hell and is adorned in traditional wear of the realm. The other returns to Greendale and says that a business with Hell is done. Now, there is a specific line here that I think plays into my theory on the finale. Lilith says that the Queen must be ready for battle, and I believe that going ahead she may be manipulated by her father and Lilith to launch an invasion on Earth, much in the same way that Caliban was. It's been said from the start that Sabrina will bring forth the apocalypse, and yeah, this seems to be setting it up here. We did see that the invasion that Caliban carried out was stopped by the Pagans, however they have now been defeated, and it is possible that Sabrina could end up going toe to toe with a version of herself. The Church of the Night changes its name to the Order of Hecate to show that there is a difference between their old ways, and before Zelda gets a kiss, there is a mention of an even darker force on the horizon. Personally, I believe this prediction is adding weight to Sabrina being at the head of the overtaking and launching an attack on herself. Sabrina never really wanted to be the ruler of Hell, and this version of herself will likely be angered that the other is living the life that she wished for. Perhaps she will try to swap with herself, but I do think they are setting up for a showdown between the two. There is a notion at the end of people falling apart from one another, such as Prudence who stops speaking to Ambrose, and the Sabrina who takes up the throne looks like she's breaking inside. Everything has consequences, and there are always loose ends, as Ambrose says, and the paradox that they have created will have repercussions. The series ends with Blackwood unleashing his time egg on the world, and this will apparently kick off the beginning of the end of all things. It's a huge cliffhanger to end the show on, and due to its powers we know that it could end the Spellman's universe and all of time. Sabrina managed to use the time egg in the episode to send herself back in time, and thus, if it is used in another way, it could be used to destroy all of it. I actually think that after their battle, the Sabrinas will have to team up with one another in order to put an end to it. The seasons often have several overarching villains, and this would definitely fit in with the aesthetic, as we know that Satan has finally stopped chasing the character after a version of her has ascended to the throne. We do know in the vision of the future that Zelda saw that there was only one Sabrina at a deathbed, and even though the two versions of the character are trying to keep separate, you would think that they would both be there for such a big event. This makes me think that one of the Sabrinas died in the battle with the creature, and this will sort of straighten everything out. There's a lot of ways it could go forward, but I did have a lot of fun with this season. Overall, a lot of it seems inconsequential, and it pretty much goes back to the status quo by the end, bar a few changes. But the ride itself was a great one, and this is definitely my favourite season so far. Chilling Adventures of Sabrina keeps getting better, and that's why it gets an 8 out of 10. Now obviously I'd love to hear your thoughts on Chilling Adventures of Sabrina Part 3, so make sure you comment below and let me know. If you enjoyed this video then please give it a thumbs up, and make sure you check out our breakdown of Picard, which is going to be linked at the end. We go over everything you missed and give our theories on it, so it's definitely worth checking out if you want to know more. You can support the show by subscribing to us on Patreon, and if you want to come chat to us after the video then join our Discord server in the description below, or follow us on Twitter at DefinitionYT. That's the best way to keep up to date with everything we do at Heavy Spoilers, and hopefully we see you over there very soon. This is a channel for people who are never missing television, so if that's the kind of thing you like, you need to subscribe to Definition. Thanks again for taking the time to watch this, you've been the best, and I'll see you next time. Take care, peace.